So now we need to come down and create a watermark height and also a watermark width value. And we can easily do this using the image sx function. So it will type image sx, and here we just need to supply one argument, and that's just the image we've already loaded in. So we've got the watermark height, so the image watermark height, using this function and just supplying the already opened image. So we'll do exactly the same thing for the width as well. Okay, so now we've successfully loaded in the watermark and the watermark height and width from this watermark that we've already created. We've basically here created a new image file in GD, but from this. So we've almost duplicated the file, if you like. Okay, so the next thing to do is set up our canvas. Now we need to set up our canvas by basically using our image create true color function, and that's going to go inside a variable called image. So the function we need to use is image create true color, and we need to supply this with two values, and that is going to be watermark height. In fact, it's the width first, so we're always taking a width first, and watermark height. Now we're going to redefine the same variable, and we're going to say image create from JPEG. So this is the important part. We're creating the image from our source. So remember up here we called our value source, or the value that we're reading in source. So we can just pop in source there. So you can see now why I created this variable. It's a lot easier than keep referencing this long, if you like, get method way of reading in a value. So now what we need to do is get the image size. So by image size I mean the image as in the phone image that I showed you earlier. This is the size of the source image that we're loading in using this line here. So what we want to do is we want to create a new variable. So we'll name it properly. We'll call it image underscore size, and we're going to be using a function called get image size. Now get image size isn't actually a GD function itself. This can be used without GD. So if you find that you might need this function elsewhere, and you might need to use this function and you don't have GD installed, you're more than welcome to use this as it's not part of the GD library. So obviously we're getting the image file from the image size, from the source, like I said earlier. So we just supply it with the argument source, which is the source data we're reading in. Now you'll notice, just to make note, that we're using the image sx function here and here to grab the watermark height and width. However, why are we using this get image function here? The reason get image size function here, the reason we're using this down here as opposed to the image sx is we haven't loaded in the source. Well, we have, but what we want to do is we want to read the get image size from the source, which is the file that we're supplying with. So we're using this without loading the image in first. And as we've done here, create image from here, we've used this function here, but here we're just using the get image size, and this is going to read it in as an array. So now what we can do is we can set two variables, that's x and y. Now these two variables are going to be the positioning for our watermark. Now remember I said that we're going to have it 10 pixels from the bottom and 10 pixels from the side. So we need to take this into account when we're minusing values, because let's say my text editor at the moment was an image. The top here would be at 0, and then we'd go all the way down here positively and all the way down here positively. So what we want to do is we want to start here and minus 10 and minus 10, so we're going to end up around here. Then we can display our watermark here. So let's change this x variable, and like I said, image size is read in as an array, and the first element of the array, so element 0, let's just type it out so we can see what we're doing, is equal to the width of the image. So the first one, which is 0, is equal to the image width. So now what we can do is say the image width overall minus the watermark width, Remember we got the watermark height and width over here earlier. I've just noticed that the I've supplied the wrong function in here. Image sy is for height, and image sx is for the width. So let's just change these around so they're in order as we're supplying them. So yeah, sorry about that. If you go back, if you're following this tutorial as it is, we've got image x and y. So we've got x and y for the width and the height. So the watermark width is now going to be -10, because like I said, I want it 10 pixels away width wise. Now height wise, I want it 10 pixels away as well, but this time for the image size, which is now an array, we want that to 1, because that's going to represent the height. So 1 is representing the height. So let's do exactly the same. We're using exactly the same structure. We want to say watermark height -10. Okay, so let's just recap on what we've done. We've loaded the image in as a file name. We've created the logo, which is the watermark evidently. We've created that in from a PNG file, because we're using a PNG file. We've grabbed the width and the height of the watermark, so we can do things with it down here. We've created an image and loaded in our image that we've created from our JPEG. So we've image create from JPEG source, which is the file name that we've loaded in. We've grabbed the image size, and we've created the X and Y position for the watermark, which is 10 pixels away from the edge of the image. Okay, so the next thing to do is to use the image copy merge function. Now this has got lots of parameters that we're going to throw at it, some of which we need to discuss, some of which we probably don't, but I'm going to try and go through all of them. So the image copy merge function looks like this. Now what is this function going to do? This function is responsible for taking one image and basically merging it with another image, and we're going to say we're going to give the parameters to this function of how we want to merge, and by merging we're doing exactly the same thing as applying a watermark onto our image.